So hey everybody, how's it going? I know that there are probably a lot of you guys that are getting off work, but today is $2 Sublimation Tuesday. Just as a reminder, you go to our website, you purchase, go to the bottom of the website where it says um, daily and weekly deals. You go to the collection that says $2 Sublimation Tuesday, and you can get your sublimation transfers for $2. All you have to do is put a minimum of 10 in the shopping cart, and you are good to go. That deal lasts until 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So just wanted to remind you guys of that. Hopefully you're having a good day. Like I said, I know probably y'all are probably at work doing your thing, but as you jump on, do me a favor, drop your city and state, like the video, share the video. This is the Blank Spot. We are a sublimation blanks and t-shirt transfer supplier located just outside of Columbia, South Carolina. Guys, I'm making a jersey for an event that we're doing this weekend. So don't mind me. I'll be doing my jersey. Once again, like the video, share the video, drop that city and state to let us know where y'all are tuning in from. And we're going to go ahead and get this thing going. It's going to be a short video. So many things that you can do with sublimation. A lot of people don't realize that sublimation is not going away. Sublimation has been around for a very, very long time. The problem is that there's this hot new, well, that's not even new. There's this hot um, transfer process that people are now able to get access to, and they're getting access to it by having their own printers and things like that. So a lot of people are looking at sublimation like what the what. But sublimation is not going away. There's so many different things that you can do with sublimation. People say that sublimation is limited, but it's really not. It's the mindset that's limited. It's what you want to do with sublimation. As a matter of fact, there's so many people that are in all these different Facebook groups and talking about sublimation. They want to do certain things with sublimation, but you have to understand that sublimation is a science. And as a science, you have to understand what you can and what you cannot do with sublimation. So I would recommend that anybody who's looking to get into sublimation, that they understand what it actually is, and also to stop trying to make sublimation do what you want it to do. Instead, learn how to leverage sublimation for yourself. Okay, learn how to leverage sublimation for yourself. Stop trying to do all these different hacks and things like that, because even though it's cool to make different hacks, we we uh we do a couple of different hacks in here, but not with sublimation. The hacks are cool. However, um, a hack is just that. It's a hack. So just keep that in mind when you are getting ready to do your sublimation projects. Okay, sublimation is a process that takes place on polyester. The higher the polyester count, the better the sublimation project is going to come out. Okay, so sublimation is meant for polyester. It is not meant for cotton. I'll say that again. Sublimation is meant for polyester and not cotton. Therefore, when you hear people talking about them wanting to put sublimation items on, wanting to put something sublimation on a cotton shirt, that's just not a good idea. Okay. Once again, sublimation is for 100% polyester to get your best results. That's what we recommend, and that's what we're sticking to. So if you are not going to do that, then you can expect to have a not so good result when it comes to sublimation. Um, Also, just to let you guys know, we're going to talk about this real quick. There are 7 essential things that's going to help your sublimation project be a great project. Okay, one of them is, of course, your substrate. The substrate, by definition, is the item that you're going to be sublimating. Whether you're doing a heat press like this and you sublimate a fabric, or whether you are doing some MDF wood, metal, or whether you're doing a tumbler or a cup. Okay, you could be doing some ceramic, you could be doing some acrylic. It has to have a poly coating on it. The thing that makes it so great is because it's an ink dye process. Sublimation will work for a lot of different things that a lot of other processes won't work for. For example, if you're into doing all over or 3D shirts, if you're into doing the um, graduation stoles for graduation. If you're into doing large prints like that or all over prints like that, then sublimation is going to be a great thing to have. I've seen people, and it's funny, but I've seen people try to force other processes on sublimation, and they've tried to force sublimation where other processes should be used. So I'm just going to tell you, educate yourselves before you start doing sublimation. There's so many different horror stories out there about the bad experiences that people have with sublimation, and I'm just going to say this: people are having bad experiences with sublimation because they're trying to make sublimation do what they want it to do. Sublimation only works one way. Okay, it only works one way, and that's with a high polyester count or poly coated item. That's the only way it works. Okay, so all this talking about, hey, I'm gonna put sublimation on a dark fabric, or it can't be a dark fabric. It has to be a light or white color, because there's no ink, there's no white ink when it comes to sublimation. So do your due diligence. Do yourself a favor. Do your due diligence. A lot of people are kind of getting upset because they're saying, "Hey, the sublimation is limited and yada yada yada." No, it's not that sublimation is limited. What you are trying to do with sublimation is limited. If you're only making apparel, if you're only making shirts, then yes, sublimation will be somewhat limited if you are looking to do other colors. Okay, that's a fact. We can't take that back. All right. However, if you are interested in learning all the different things that you can do with sublimation, especially coming up on the holidays, you have Christmas stockings, you have Santa sacks. We did a Santa sack today. Santa sacks are available. Um, you have Christmas ornaments. You have things that you're not going to use uh, other processes on. Okay, so this just think about that when you go out there and you say, hey, what process is the best? There literally is no best process. There's a purpose for every process, and I think a lot of people are not understanding that and not actually taking the time to learn that fact. Okay, so this is the blank spot. We are a sublimation blanks and t-shirt transfer supplier, guys. We're located just outside of Columbia, South Carolina. And today is $2 Sublimation Tuesday. So make sure you go to our site and take advantage of it. $2 Sublimation Tuesday. The way it works is really, really simple. You're going to go to our site. Once you get there, you're going to scroll down to the bottom. You're going to see um, daily and weekly deals. You'll see a collection that says $2 Sublimation Tuesday. When you see that, you want to click on that and you start shopping. There's going to be some t-shirt or fabric transfers. There's also going to be some tumbler wraps in there for the $2 Sublimation Tuesday as well. So you can get what happens is this, right? Let's say you order this. Let's say you put this in your shopping cart. You put this in your shopping cart, you're actually getting two. Okay. So there's a minimum of 10 items that you have to put in that shopping cart inside that collection, and you'll get them for $20. So you basically getting 20 transfers for $20. Okay. That is what happens at $2 Sublimation Tuesday. Now, let's go back to what sublimation is and how it works. There's a couple of things that you got to remember. Sublimation, you got to have a good substrate, whatever it is that you're sublimating on. This is a 100% polyester shirt, okay, with a cotton feel. You got to have a good substrate. You got to have a sublimation printer if you're going to have the best colors. There's people out there using converted printers, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, understand that when you use a converted printer, you're going to get converted results, okay? You may not be able to tell what the image looks like, or what the print looks like, because you have nothing to compare it to. Okay, sublimation paper matters. We do have our own sublimation paper, and that sublimation paper is also available. It is 30% off, no minimum. All you have to do is go, and no coupon required. All you have to do is go and get you some sublimation paper. I think the lowest that it is like 16 and some change. Okay, that's the lowest. Let me see what else. So we got your printer, your paper, your substrate. Ink does matter. I was in a group the other day, and this young lady was like, "Hey, I have this particular brand of ink, and I'm wondering why my stuff is not looking the way it's supposed to be looking." Ink matters as well as your paper, the type of printer that you have. A lot of people are converting eco tank printers to do sublimation, and what's happening is those printers are clogging up, or they're trying to print because their paper is not good quality paper. They're printing at a high rate. They're printing at a high rate when ink is coming out that printer so fast to where it's leaving your product or your project, all jacked up. So it's a lot of things that matters. Pressure, temperature, and time as well is going to make a huge difference. It's going to play a huge role in your sublimation project. Most people most people, most crafters who just get started with sublimation, they're going to try to use whatever they have in their house. Okay, they're not going to try to go out and get the right products, or the right tools. Um, I recommend that if you are doing sublimation, if you're going to do this for real, I recommend that you get a heat press that locks down like this. Okay, because the pressure does matter. A lot of people are going to talk about, hey, well, I sublimate with my easy press. That's fine. That's your choice. That's your prerogative. However, just know you're going to get easy press results. If you're sublimated with an easy press, let's say you try to do this shirt with the easy press. This transfer right here is, let's see, this transfer right here is 11 and a half inches. Okay, it's 11 and a half inches wide. Most easy presses are going to be anywhere between 9 inches and 12 inches wide. So let's say you got a 9 inch, you're going to have to press it here, and then you're going to have to overlap and press it again. If you got a 12 inch, you got to make sure that you have even pressure on that transfer the entire time, even consistent pressure. Now imagine trying to sublimate something at 400 degrees, because that's what you guys are sublimating at, most of you, 400 degrees for 60 seconds and holding that at an even pressure. Some people just sit it on top of there. The great thing about our paper, and here's a myth that a lot of people don't know, but the great thing about our paper is that you don't have to sublimate at a high temperature. Um, you can sublimate at a lower temperature, and you can sublimate at a shorter time. Another thing that you probably just saw me do, you saw me put paper over this, over my paper, over my transfer, but I wasn't protecting my heat press. I was making sure that there was no transfer coming on this white jersey. We don't have to worry about we don't have to worry about any bleeding because our paper does not bleed. So therefore, we have a great paper. So therefore, there's a lot of things that you don't have to worry about when you're working with us here at the Blank Spot. Um, so I did this jersey. I'm gonna go ahead and finish it up tomorrow, because tomorrow we're gonna be talking about patches. But I'm gonna finish this up tomorrow. But I'm gonna be using this at our vending event, and most likely gonna probably sell this. I don't know. Somebody out there likes Dallas, but we're gonna sell this out there at the event. And I got a couple of other um, mock-ups that I'm gonna have out there as well. Displays I'm gonna have as well. So guys, do me a favor, guys. If it's your first time here, type a number one in the comments. If your first time here, type a number one in the comments. If you've been here before, welcome back. Once again, this is the Blank Spot. We're a sublimation blanks and t-shirt transfer supplier. We're located just outside of Columbia, South Carolina. Today is $2 Sublimation Tuesday. If you would like to shop with us, you got to go to the link in the description, or look at the links in the write-up. You can go ahead and shop with us. $2 Sublimation Tuesday. Do me a favor. Now, I got a couple of number ones on here. How many of you guys, thanks for the gift, how many of you guys are doing sublimation? Type a number 3 in the comments if you have done sublimation or you want to do sublimation. Type a number 3. This came out pretty good, D. I got a little right here. I'm going to go back to later on and finish this up. They came out pretty good. Type a number 3 if you do sublimation or you want to do sublimation. Where my number 3 is at? You do sublimation or you want to do sublimation. Okay. So The reason why I asked is because now the next thing is I've already told you that there's 7 things that's going to make your sublimation project pop. 7 things. A couple of them you can't do anything about. If you're currently printing and you don't have an actual sublimation printer, that's okay. You don't have to have an actual sublimation printer, but you also need to know that your sublimation printer is going to make your colors pop. Okay, so you don't have to have a sublimation printer. There's lots of people who have converted printers, but one thing that's going to make your sublimation project pop is your sublimation printer. Okay, there's printers that are converted, and then there's printers that people are using for sublimation. Okay, it's difference. People who have converted printers, they're going to get different colors. They're going to have to do more maintenance. They're going to have more things out there that they're going to have to do. So your printer matters. Your ink matters. You need to make sure that you have an ink. You need to make sure that you have an ink that has an expiration date. That doesn't mean that the ink is going to be totally bad, but it should have a production date on your ink, and it should have an expiration date on your ink. We have our own ink as well, and our ink we have on it that is good for 18 months. Now that doesn't mean that at 18 months and 1 day that it's going to be bad, but you want to start looking, because if your ink ends up getting thick, or your ink the colors start to fall to the bottom, go to the bottom, you just want to shake it up and make sure it's good. So if you're dealing with a company that sold you some ink and it doesn't have a born date or an expiration date, that's a question you want to raise. So your printer, your ink, and then we talked about the paper. Your sublimation paper matters. Okay. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, you probably are using a paper that you got to use butcher paper to actually press. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you like. If you like using butcher paper every time you press your sublimation project, if you have to protect your platen every time, your heat press every time, because your paper runs or your paper bleeds, then you don't have a good paper. I hate to tell you. I know as adults, as human beings, we love to think that we already know. A lot of us like to think that we're making great decisions, but if you've never compared papers, and if every paper that you had, you have to use butcher paper or parchment paper to protect your heat press, then that's not a good paper. Our paper doesn't need butcher paper. Like I said, that may not be a big deal to you, especially if you're just crafting. But if you're selling things, you're going to be able to tell the difference. If you guys if you're on TikTok, you can go to our TikTok and you can see where we actually compared our paper to a number 1 selling brand, and you can see the difference. You can tell the paper ink release is different. You can tell that the after it got pressed, it was more dull on the other paper, things like that. So your ink, your printer, your paper, it matters. Then your substrate. There's a lot of people out there that are getting things. For example, you're using less expensive, or should I say cheaper sublimation substrates, just to save money, and you're wondering why I'm getting these results. Or you may be using 50% cotton, 50% polyester, and you're wondering why when you wash your shirt, the ink is washing out. We've even seen people use 100% cotton, and they're wondering why it's faded, and then they wonder when they go wash it why it washes out, because sublimation does not like cotton, doesn't like natural fibers. It likes synthetic fibers. Polyester is a synthetic. Sublimation, the process is an ink dye. So you have to have some type of synthetic going on in there, right? Polyesters, rayons, things like that, it will go real well. Silk, it'll go real well. Okay. The higher the polyester count, the higher the polyester count, the better your project is going to be. The reason why the reason why um people have issues with how vibrant, or as they say, it's not popping. The reason why they have those issues is because they're using a cotton poly blend, and most people are using cotton poly blends because they're trying to save money. Because yes, sublimation um sublimation t-shirts are on a higher side. They're a little bit more costly, but you find the right shirt, you find the right process, you can actually charge if you're in business, you can charge for those things. Okay. And then, like I said, temperature, time, and pressure. Most people are sublimating right now at 400 degrees for 60 seconds. I was in a Facebook group the other day watching some things go on, and someone said that they had pressed at 400 degrees for 80 seconds. 80 seconds, guys. Do you realize that's a minute and 20 seconds on a shirt? Now, there are some items that are going to require you to press longer. Um, some things that may require you to press longer. One thing that I know of off the bat is a slate. A slate is going to take at least 5 minutes, 300 seconds. But anybody that's pressing a shirt for 80 seconds, you don't understand that you're going to get that yellow or that brownish spot on your shirt because you're going to burn it. Okay. In tradition, if you just join them sublimation groups, traditionally people are pressing at a higher temperature for a longer time to get that ink to come off that paper. If that's you and you have to do that, you want to consider switching your paper. Once again, our paper's on sale right now. It's 30% off. Just go to the link in the description and go to our paper, and you can see it'll be right there on the front page. Temperature. You don't have to press so hot. Time. You don't have to press so long. The longer you press does not mean the more ink is going to come off. It doesn't work like that. And if it does, then by the time you finish, like I said, your project is going to be burned. Pressure. If you have too much pressure, you're going to get that ring around your shirt. Has anybody gotten rings around their shirt? Hot wash and high heat ruins prints quicker. I don't understand what you're talking about, because sublimation is ink dye. And if you're putting it in a high count polyester, if you use sublimation, if you use sublimation, if you use sublimation and you use 100% polyester shirt, it's not going to wash out. If you're talking about a different type of transfer, I agree. But if you're talking about sublimation with a 100% polyester shirt, I would totally disagree. Now, if you're talking about sublimation with the 50% cotton, 50% polyester, or 65% polyester, 35% cotton, that is true. And it's only true because polyester only is going to bind. It's only going to bind, sublimation, excuse me, is only going to bind with polyester. The ink is only going to bind with polyester. So I strongly encourage um that you do your research. Someone says right now they press for 400 degrees for 30 seconds on poly. What shirts are you using? Because you can actually press for a lower temperature with a thinner shirt. And then also, what paper are you using? That's going to matter as well. We do have a blog on our site. You can go to our site and read the blog. Um, I'm not saying what I'm saying is gospel. I'm just telling you from the last couple of years that we've been doing this. My wife's been doing it since 17. That this is what's working. So pressing at a hotter temperature is not necessarily it's not necessary. Not necessary, depending on what type of fabric you have. If you're pressing like a silk or a rayon, something like a pillowcase, a nylon, then yes, you can press at a lower temperature, and you don't have to press at a long. You can press at a lower time as well. But I'd like to see what type of paper you're using, what brand paper you're using, that's giving you 400 degrees for 30 seconds. So, guys, just wanted to come on and let y'all guys know that we are a sublimation blanks and t-shirt transfer supplier. We're located just outside of Columbia, South Carolina. Today is $2 Sublimation Tuesday. Take advantage of it. It lasts until 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. I figured, A-Sub, I figured that, yeah. So I would encourage you. I would encourage you to check out our paper. Just give it a try. Um, Also, you got to look at the ink that's left on your paper as well. But give our paper a try. If you're selling shirts, if you're a business owner, you're selling shirts, it's worth giving another brand a try just to see the difference. Okay, print the same images, press the same thing on a test run just to see the results. And I will guarantee you that you're going to get a different result than that. All right. So let me see. I would love to no ink left behind. We'll try. Absolutely. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, this is what I got as a result, and this is actually an embroidery look. This is an embroidery look. So this is what you got here. But there's some better results and other things. I didn't press this at a hot temperature a long time. Anyway, thank y'all for jumping on. Like I said, the sale lasts until 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. $2 Sublimation Tuesday. Guys, just so you guys know, we got football jerseys. We got sublimation hoodies. The football jerseys are sublimation. That's what I just did. This is sublimation, y'all. So we got football jerseys, we got our own shirts, we have polyester hoodies, all types of things that you can try inside here. Okay, blankets, cups, drinkware, all types of stuff. But go ahead and check us out. Like I always say, guys, when you know better, that's when you have the ability to do better. And the only knowledge that's powerful is properly applied knowledge. We'll see each and every one of you guys at the top, because there's entirely too many people that are really uneducated about sublimation, and they're struggling unnecessarily at the bottom. Peace.